Hi, welcome back to the channel. This video actually popped up last week, or the idea for this video just popped up last week. As if you watch my channel, you'll see that I have a Sterling SAR-80. Actually, I have two of them, one here and one's disassembled on the table. The thing about this Sterling and my Sterling was I thought there was only one version of the Sterling. I found out recently that I am wrong. Both of my Sterlings, this one's in the 1100 range and that one, the serial number's under 1000. This one's been reparked because the finish was worn off. Our original guns, they were imported as post samples with a lot of about 400 guns that came out of Croatia. Most of them were destroyed, maybe 10 or 15 of them made it into the country as live guns. But there wasn't much interest in a post sample of this type because, you know, no rails and stuff. So in my YouTube experience, I've spoken to via email to a gentleman in Finland that has a Sterling, and I don't know where his came from, but he told me it had a rail on it. I was thinking maybe they just welded the rail on, like my Ultimax 2000. Well, recently I got in touch with some people who have some part sets that have been imported from another source. And now I find out there are two generations of Sterlings, at least two, like Nixon, two. I'm going to show you what I know, and if you buy these part sets, you want to make sure you get what generation you have, because not all the parts interchange. Some do, some don't. All right, this is my other Sterling upper receiver. Now, I don't have the other parts kit here completely, but the plastic looked the same. The front sight looked the same. The rear sight, however, did not look the same. Instead of this flat on the top, it was more of a Thompson, M1A1 Thompson looking set of ears with the M16 style sight in it, but the ears looked more like an M1A1 Thompson. They were sloped, and which would make better sense because this would probably have a tendency to catch on something. However, I don't know if the height of the sight is different from the Gen 2 to the Gen 1. So I don't know if the front sight is different. Also, we noticed some of the springs inside were different. I would assume that the Gen 2 would have improved springs because this spring up here does have a tendency to get disformed and bind. All right, so Gen 1 receiver. The big difference is in the lowers. This is my Gen 1 lower. This is we'll call them Gen 2 lowers. All right, first thing you'll notice, and I'm going to have to try to get my son to zoom in because this is difficult, this is the mag catch on the Gen 1. So when you're shooting the gun, you stick your hand in with your thumb, pull the magazine out. All right, so the mag catch is on the left side of the gun. On a Gen 2, the mag catch is on the right side of the gun, more like an M16. All right, comes through, still uses M16 magazines, but the mag catch is now more familiar to the Western style mag catch. Also, the difference between Gen 1 and Gen 2, and I'll put these up side by side because it's difficult to see. The bolt hold open device was changed. This is Gen 1, I'll turn it to the side a little bit, is much lower and further back this way than the Gen 2 bolt catch. I don't know if this will show up. Maybe I should get my fat hands out of the way and use a... All right, disconnector, full auto disconnector, bolt hold open. This one is longer and lower. This one is higher and more forward. Okay. You'll notice this has the Sterling crinkle paint on it. This one has been refinished. It should have the Sterling crinkle paint on it. When you look in the top here, the catch is different too. They've added a piece right here that, to be truthful, I have no idea what it does. That piece is missing in the Gen 1. But the receivers are the same. I can take the receiver, this receiver, and it'll go right on my Gen 1. And you should know, me calling them Gen 1 and Gen 2 is for the video. I don't know what they call them in Singapore. I just call them that. So if you go to buy part sets, you know what you're looking for, because I know there's at least 200 to 250 of these part sets out there, and I have no idea how many of these part sets are. Now, this is where it comes into, you got to have the right lower with the right bolt carrier. I'm going to put these down like side by side. This is a Gen 1 bolt carrier. This is a Gen 2 bolt carrier. All right. Because of the higher, the Gen 1 has a ridge right here. I'll get my little pointy thing out. Right here. That corresponds to the lower mag catch. So when it's sitting in the gun, it's like this. The Gen 2, because they raised the mag catch, they milled this off. It's flat. To clear the higher mag catch. Now, the problem is if you have a Gen 1 lower, and I'm sorry, if you have a Gen 2 lower and a Gen 1 bolt carrier, they will not work. It'll hit. It'll jam the gun. So what you need to do is, if you get the Gen 2 lower, make sure you have a Gen 2 bolt carrier assembly. So, a couple other things I noticed. On this one, on the early generations, the serial number and Sterling assault rifle is up here on the upper, right here. And the barrels are marked, these are going to be really hard to see because you can hardly see it when you're close, are marked SMPC. So I'm assuming S for Sterling, MP is the testing, and C for chrome lined. The later, obviously the later ones, because of import restrictions, is cut. The barrels are cut so we can't look at them. But on the later lowers, the serial number is here. It's on the lower, it's not on the upper, and they're still cutting the uppers, apparently for American standards, but this serial number is in the 38,000 range, so this is a much newer gun. So those are the mechanical differences. We're going to take them out and shoot them both for you. 20 rounds out of both configurations, and then I may do a 40 rounder out of this. And the reason I'm going to do a 40 rounder out of this one, when I got this, if you put a magazine in and you fired it, the magazine fell out every round. I took some deep creep and sprayed it up in the magazine catch area, and huge amounts of cosmoline came out. When I took it out and tested it yesterday, every third round it fired, it dropped. So using a roll pin punch, there's a roll pin right here. I punched it out and took the magazine catch away, and this is what I found inside. And I think I might have just knocked it off the table, and I did. Oh no, here it is. This is the spring for the magazine catch. Now I know you can't see tension, but if you watch my fingers, I have literally no trouble in squishing it. It has no tension left at all. So where am I going to get one of these? I mean, I have no idea. So I went into my parts bin and I took an M16 Mag Catch Spring, and lo and behold, they're the same diameter, or close enough for government work. This one is much heavier. So what I did was I cut a third. You'll notice this is cut right here. I cut a third of it off, which made it maybe that much longer than the Sterling spring. I pushed it around the thing, pushed it around the mag catch, retapped the pin in. Now this is now very stiff. It's probably stiffer than it needs to be and could be reduced, but it seems to hold the magazine in place. So what we'll do is we'll take it out on the range and you can watch me shoot them. See you soon on the range. All right, we're out here with the Gen 1 upper, Gen 1 lower, 20 round Colt mag with some woof in it, with the old style magazine release. Very positive. All right. Since I already have a shooting video of this gun on channel, I am not going to bother with semi. I'll just burst off the magazine. Notice, mag didn't lock open, but when you pull it back, if you get it back far enough, it locks open. It's just none of the Sterlings, and I've shot probably 10 or 15 of these, locked open on the last shot. We're going to go inside. I'm going to switch the parts out. We're going to come out and do another mag. See you soon. Alright, I've got my Gen 1 upper with my Gen 2 lower, and I changed the carrier. One of the things I noticed when I put the Gen 2 lower on, which I did mention earlier in the video, this Gen 2 pistol grip is much thinner. I kind of like the Gen 1. It's more meatier for big American, fat American hands. Same Colt magazine. Same gas setting. So everything's the same except the carrier and the lower. We'll see how she runs. Oh, and my son said I didn't hit shit. Well, that's true. I didn't. But the glasses are getting darker. We're standing in the sun. The targets are in the shade and they're not painted. So once I fire the first 2 or 3 rounds and the dust kicks up, I can't see them anyway. So let's just hope I can keep them on the target hill. As I said, we're not going to screw with semi on this one. Rounds, that was wolf. Notice the bolt locked open. So I think what I'm going to do, since this is borrowed, I'm going to order one of these part sets and swap out the parts on my lower, because I like the fact the bolt holds open. Makes this gun a lot more fun to shoot. Push the magazine in, drop it down. Now, I said 40. I was rooting through my magazines and I found a D60 drum. Never tried this in this gun. Don't know if it's going to support the weight. I don't even know if it's going to feed, but we're going to give it a shot, and if we fail, you'll get to see us fail miserably. Alright, we'll see if it closes. Closed! Alright, let's run 60 rounds here. Now the D60 doesn't lock the mag open. Empty. How about that, boys and girls? $60 rounds. My flash hider's loose because I was going to try a suppressor on this. So I'd say this lower with my spring fix is phenomenal on this upper. We all learned something today. Gen 1 and Gen 2. Thanks for coming to the channel.